I'm Liz Van Vliet. Welcome to Being Indispensable, the podcast for executive and personal assistants. If, like me, you want to become indispensable to your manager, then this is the place where you'll get the tips and techniques and industry insights that will help you achieve exactly that. Hi everyone, just doing another road rambling episode, which is all I seem to have time for these last few weeks, which I'll explain is quite ironic, but I just wanted to give you an update on where I'm at with my JobShare, which I mentioned in the last episode, or possibly the episode before that, is something that I'm just in the initial stages of. So this is going to be just a short update on just some ruminating on how it's going and how it feels for me. And at some point I'll interview my JobShare, well, the person that I'm JobSharing with, in a later episode, because I know that would be very interesting for everyone to hear us discuss our JobShare together. Anyway, from my point of view, I'm now at the end, just coming up to the end of week 2, which is actually the end of the second week, and next week and the week after I'm actually going to take 2 weeks off, which I am looking forward to, but I'm a bit apprehensive about because I feel stressed about, balls getting dropped, basically, while not by my the person that I'm job sharing with, but just because, when you go away on leave, people aren't mind readers. So I think I've done a good handover, but there's always the potential that something's going to come up. Anyway, the main thing I just wanted to cover today was just how one of the things that I've really identified straight out of the gate with this whole JobShare caper is that systems and processes, the lack of, really shows up when you're starting. I suppose it happens when you're doing any sort of handover, whether that's when you're going on leave or, when you might be moving jobs or, for whatever reason you're not going to be around. But for a job share, it has that added element, which I think is really worth considering, of I felt like I was really on top of things. I felt like I knew what I was doing, that I knew, I had all the balls in the air and I knew exactly where all the balls were. But then when you actually are trying to communicate that to somebody else, you realise the things that aren't actually documented. And they're things to do with processes, but they're also to do with just the workflow of where a certain, particular task or project is at. So it really does beg the question, how do we get along without, project management tools and workflow systems at our fingertips? The way I'm using Evernote, for example, is, I'm constantly using it, and that's one of the ways that we are trying to share information and streamline, our working together is through the use of Evernote, which we're finding helpful. We're both fans of Evernote, so there isn't a learning curve for either of us with regard to Evernote. It's just a matter of creating notes within notebooks, tagging them, and will become, I'm sure they'll become more refined as we go along. But that's one thing that's already on my radar is, and we've already discussed this, that while I'm away on this couple of weeks, there's hopefully going to be a little bit of thinking time into putting in place, documenting some processes as that's observed, and then we can review that when I come back so that we can make sure that, we're both clear and it's clearly communicated how different things get done and who the various stakeholders are, and all of that stuff. Anyway, all that's really positive, but the added element that I was sort of alluding to before is that it really, for someone like me that takes their credibility pretty seriously and likes to be thought of as on top of things and in control of things, oh my goodness, I felt like at times it's like showing your underwear. Is that a bad analogy? Anyway, showing your undies. That, oh my goodness, it's like you're totally exposed. The good, bad and indifferent of the way you're actually working is all on display for this person that you're job sharing with, which, luckily she's a great person, and, I know that we'll be able to, there's no judgement. So I think that, if that's a takeaway, it would be that if if you're ever looking at undertaking a job share situation, that whole being open-minded and coming at it with a very, a level of acceptance and understanding that things aren't necessarily going to be perfect straight out of the gate, and you've got to, you've got to just get it all out on the table and, decide whether things can keep going the way they're going in terms of how something is handled or the way things have been handled to date, or whether or not you need to change it up and take the opportunity to refine the process. That's, again, it's all about this being a great opportunity for us both, for me, and for the organisation to benefit from. On a personal level, that anxiety has not helped me feel like, the irony is that even though I've done less hours in the last 2 weeks, I've probably thought about work more, if that's at all possible, because I'm feeling so, I've just been obsessing a little bit about the handover at various points in the week and making sure that the, channels of communication are really, open. Anyway, and I've also been, challenging myself not to get too hung up on the fact that there was always bound to be...
Caution. Traffic disruption ahead.
There's our friend, the lady on the...
Caution.
Oh.
Traffic disruption ahead.
Okie doke, we get the message. Anyway, my boss and I have discussed the fact that there was always bound to be the odd hiccup, and it's it is a teething process, but it's all going well, and I'm very optimistic about it. I'm still optimistic about it, and this week I just wanted to share that learning about the fact that it really does expose your how good, bad or indifferent your workflow and work processes and procedures are. So if ever we needed a reminder that having those in place is always a good idea, this is another one of those times to be reminded of it, because if we happen to get, hit by a bus tomorrow, the person that's going to come in to try and pick up the pieces not our pieces, but the pieces of our job responsibilities, the more information they have, the more clarity around how you do your job and what's required on a day-to-day basis is
Caution, traffic disruption ahead.
really helpful. Anyway, so that's it. I'm going to sign off now. That was a very short road rambling, and yeah, I hope that's on some level helpful. Thanks for listening to Being Indispensable. I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. Why don't you subscribe so that you get episodes automatically? And I'd love it if you could leave a review. Head on over to my website, beingindispensable.com, for the show notes.